What's going on, everyone? I've got a bit of a discussion video for you today, with the topic being, what do you want to see from the next Call of Duty? I had the idea for this video before Ghost came out, but never got around to making it, but now it's speculated whether it's going to be Treyarch with Black Ops 3 or Sledgehammer with their own Call of Duty in 2014, and with the popularity of Ghost dropping like a brick, I thought it'd be the perfect time for a discussion about what you'd like to see in the next Call of Duty. It's now the crucial time when Call of Duty needs revamping. If anything, I think Ghost has done some pretty bad damage by not only being a safe title, it's actually took quite a big step back from what Black Ops 2 brought to the table. Sledgehammer were actually working on a third-person Call of Duty spin-off in 2009, but when the original Infinity Ward legal stuff went down, they were all called off that project to help out with the looming deadline of Modern Warfare 3. Recent news reports have said that Sledgehammer are now being brought into the mix of developers, so they could be picking up that third-person game once again. I personally don't really care much for a third-person shooter, so my sights are set on what Treyarch will produce. I think Treyarch designs some amazing games, but they're seriously let down by lag issues, where players just aren't where they are on your screen. While every Call of Duty has its annoyances, Black Ops and Black Ops 2 are no exception. Second Chance, RC cars, hunter-killer drones and shock charges to name a few. Treyarch games offer so much more advancement every time, which subsequently ends up getting ditched as we've seen in Modern Warfare 3 and Ghosts. I'd personally love for Treyarch to take the reins altogether and become the sole development team behind Call of Duty. Going into the next gen era, hopefully those lag issues of Black Ops will be solved with dedicated servers. My time on Ghost has been pretty good connection wise, it's just the game design and the community that ruins that game for me. So I started listing a few bullet points of the things I want to see in the next Call of Duty, which ended up being a full-on essay, so here's a detailed plan of all the features that I'm going to implement when I'm hired as lead creative of Call of Duty Spooner Warfare. So starting off with the theme, lots of people want to see a return to World War II, but I personally don't think they'll do that. It was popular back in the early 2000s, but I don't think it's coming back. I loved what Treyarch did with Black Ops with the 50s era, and all their DLCs were brilliantly tied into that theme. I think they really missed a trick by not setting Black Ops 2 in the 80s, basing it on the cool aspects of those 80s action movies we all love. Instead, they skipped way ahead to 2025, and while it worked in a way by allowing them to design unique high-tech gadgets, I think it lacked the character of the game that they achieved in Black Ops. Now they've gone to the future, I probably wouldn't want them to go back in time. The Modern Warfare era has pretty much come to a close with all these games nowadays being set in the future. Even Modern Warfare 3 was set in the coming years. So I think the only place to go is, wait for it, outer space. This might seem a little bit far-fetched when you think that Call of Duty franchise started out in World War II, but I'd love to see what they produce with the freedom of the future, where you're not grounded by reality. This means cool weapons and gadgets that don't have to be realistic. Imagine playing on maps inspired by the opening scene of Star Wars, or the landscapes from films such as Aliens. I think a sci-fi twist would be pretty cool. This future theme would also allow for some unique weapons that don't have to be tied to real life. Maybe not laser weapons, but stuff like the shotgun from Minority Report. Something like that would be awesome with that swivel reload mechanism. Something conceptual that adds unique animations to the game, which should all be possible now with the next gen console power. I want some unique features to each weapon aside from the differences in fire rate, damage and recoil, so maybe one with a built-in minimap like the heartbeat sensor, or maybe one that doesn't even need reloading, obviously balanced in some way, maybe with high recoil or low damage. Make each one cool in its own way, maybe something like the noisy cricket from Men in Black, something super tiny that you have to charge up but then it fires out a massive blast. I'd also like to see them remove sniping, especially quickscoping. Now I've enjoyed doing it in the past, but to be honest I think Call of Duty should be run and gun. Traditional sniping isn't really viable in Call of Duty either. The maps are too small and the spawns flip all the time, so more players actually using full auto weapons would really speed up the game. However, I know sniping is super popular, which is why I'd probably kind of merge it into a kind of kill streak. So you'd earn a few points and then you'd get an awesome sniper rifle that you could play with until you run out of ammo. Same goes with cool weapons such as the death machine that we see in Black Ops and Black Ops 2, which can be toggled on and off and used throughout the game after you've acquired it via a kill streak award. I'd also like to see more of a focus on equipment over perks. I like how Treyarch revised the weapon related perks as attachments in Black Ops 2, another feature that we ended up losing in Ghosts. So there was things like a laser sight for increased hipfire accuracy, adjustable stock for that stalker ability, and the quick draw grip for faster ADS. All those things kind of make sense as attachments as opposed to perks. I'd also make perks such as Flak Jacket a piece of equipment that changes your character's appearance, so you can see what kind of stuff other people are running. I'd also like to see some high-tech gadgets to fight against campers. We always get mines and motion detectors to help campers, so what about turning the tables to actually stop promoting a camping playstyle? I've always wanted to see the return of night vision from Call of Duty 4, but maybe so that you could briefly wall hack to see enemy players, with those who are stationary showing up brighter. This is kind of similar to the special ability that one of the classes had in Medal of Honor Warfighter, or actually what they've added to Ghost in the form of the Tracker Sight and the Oracle. But as opposed to those features in Ghost, I'd want them to be designed with more like distortion and fuzzy effects as opposed to them being slightly cartoonish and just a bright orange outline. At least give it some reality as if you're looking through a pair of goggles. Then maybe balance this by hiding your HUD while it's active. Then I'd also add in a short animation to move the goggles up and down rather than it being just a basic on or off effect. I'd also like to see an EMP style gadget that deactivates explosives in close proximity. Forget just delaying the fuse or highlighting it, just deactivate it altogether. Stop rewarding people for cheap kills. Kill streaks are a tough aspect of the game to change. I know some people love them and some people hate them. I'm personally happiest running around with Specialist and playing gun on gun, but the majority of players do enjoy getting high kill games using those rewards. I'd like them to be powerful like in Modern Warfare 2, but make two types of lobby, one with and one without kill streaks, which is a simple fix. If I was completely designing a game to my own taste, I'd have kill streaks merged with your character abilities, so you'd get stuff like faster movement, higher jumping and explosive resistance as you increase your point score. Then to add to the immersive feeling of all these things, have them deploy somehow with an animation, so you get like a armor engaged sound effect and a subtle difference in your vision, so you can see it just creeping into the edge of your screen so you know it's there. As you take explosive damage, it wears off and disappears with a quick glitchy distortion effect. Then maybe one of the high-end rewards would be something like the target finder from Black Ops 2 that pinpoints and highlights enemies, but instead have it in your plain vision. This would be a killstreak reward after all, so it'd be something that you had to earn, so why not make it powerful? You'd still need to actually physically kill people to use it. I'd also completely revamp UAVs, so here's how. No UAV, no spy plane, and no SATCOMs at all. Everyone's line of sight is radar, so you've got like an invisible cone that points where you look. And if someone's visible on your screen, then they pop up on your radar for say 5 seconds, with it replenishing the 5 seconds every time that person crosses someone's line of sight, until you're not seen for the 5 seconds and your radar dot fades out. If you're hidden from plain view behind cover or behind a wall, then you're not detected, but that's where that equipment I was talking about comes into effect. Players using those wall hack goggles can see fuzzy outlines of people through walls, so in that case then you're spotted on the minimap as usual. I'd have it so you also light up on the radar when you open fire just as usual, except for when using a suppressor, or if we're going for the futuristic theme, maybe an alternative such as supersonic ammunition. Then as a counter, maybe have some equipment like a UV absorbing shield to decrease the time you appear on the radar to say 2 seconds, making it easier to dip off the grid. Actually, let's just make that so that sprinting reduces the time, so anyone who's moving around actually benefits from dipping off the radar more often than someone who's stationary, but moving around means you're at a higher risk of crossing someone's line of sight. So basically the whole concept is that everyone's going to appear on the radar at some point, it just depends on how you play to determine how stealthy you are. Players who like to use a lone wolf style gameplay and flank around the side and hit people from behind can still play that way as long as they take care not to cross someone's line of sight, so moving from cover to cover and staying out of the way is how they're going to benefit. Using that UV absorbing shield is going to be the way to reinforce this type of gameplay, but no one's going to be completely safe and stay off the radar altogether, as with the Ghost perk or Off the Grid perk or Assassin perks in previous titles. The idea behind this is that it's also going to help inhibit camping. You might be able to hide in a corner and peg one person, but then you're going to be highlighted on the minimap because that one person will have spotted you regardless of whether you ended up killing them or not. So at least then everyone can see exactly where you are to hunt you down. And having everyone appear on the map at some point is going to help speed up the gameplay by allowing the players to see exactly where all the action is. So as for the game modes I'd have, Call of Duty has the largest player base, yet all these players are always spread over too many unpopulated playlists. I'd have a 9v9 ground war sized lobby as the default, then a few game mode specific playlists, and then a few non-killstreak lobby options, but these would be listed next to the normal modes and using the exact same game rules, not modified with increased spawn times or reduced player counts as they've always been implemented in previous titles. If sniper rifles ended up being in my game, I'd also make sure that there was a sniper only lobby. This would mean that anyone wanting to quickscope can do it against other people with the same interests, and it'd keep these players out of the main game modes. Snipers are going to have more fun being able to get feeds with all the players on the same level, while normal players aren't going to be frustrated with snipers insta-killing them and not playing the objective. As for the maps, I think Treyarch designed good ones for the most part. Ghost has completely messed up the game with stupidly large maps and silly intercrossing routes, so I'd stick to the usual 3-lane system with underground or overground flanking routes. This is what makes Call of Duty fun with that fast-paced gameplay. And like I mentioned back when I did my discussion about Ghost before it was released, I reckon my ideas for dynamic maps were much more cool than what we ended up getting. So if you missed that video, my idea was to provide different times of day and different weather for each map. So for instance, you might play one time in daytime in sunlight, and the next time it might be snowing at night time. This completely mixes up the immersive experience and keeps the same map fresh. Imagine if you had just one map, but 4 different variations with different times of day and weather systems. That'd be plenty of longevity for the game. So just imagine 10 maps with all these different variations. It'd keep the game fresh for so much longer. And technically speaking too, I mean, once the basic map's designed, it's essentially just a few different skins and lighting effects. The only example I've seen of this was way back in Call of Duty 4 when I used to play it on PC. If you remember the map called Crash, that was re-released at Christmas time with a snow theme and lots of like fairy lights and little things like that, which was pretty cool. And talking about nighttime maps, I'd also love for some really dark, low visibility maps which would make the use of equipment such as night vision crucial. That'd make your class and equipment choices specific to the environment and again creates more of an immersive experience. If this was on a map that you'd otherwise play in the daytime where you could learn all the routes quite easily, then when you get around to playing it at night time you wouldn't have much trouble navigating, but it'd be so much more fun having to use night vision and trying to spot people out in the darkness. I'd forget all about this destructibility that they're trying to implement into Ghosts. It's Call of Duty at the end of the day, not Battlefield, and I'd forget all about those silly dynamic elements that can insta-kill you. I don't want my screen shaking because a rocket's taking off or a volcano erupting on me. Just keep that arena feeling so you can get straight into the action with a short sprint, no revenge spawning or anything stupid like that, just predictable player flow across the map. So there you have my complete blueprints for my own Call of Duty game. I'd love to know what you reckon to my ideas down in the comments, and it'd be great to actually hear your suggestions for any ideas you've got for a future Call of Duty. So if you like any of my ideas, or if you'd go out and buy Call of Duty Spoon of Warfare, then I'd really appreciate a thumbs up on this video. That's the best way of getting my videos seen, so if you think my content's worth watching, then I'd really appreciate your help to spread the word. So I know this one's ended up being quite a long one, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you've managed to stick around till the end, then thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.